Welcome back. It's me, Lou. Okay, so I'm here for a very different video. We're going to do a little bit of an unboxing, but first off, I want to give a shout out to fellow YouTuber Cajun Toy Review. Cajun Toy Review recently did an unboxing of King of Fighters 15 for the PlayStation 5, and that unboxing was of I think it was called the Omega edition of that video game. And then when I saw his video, I was like super stoked. I didn't realize that Cajun Toy Review was into like video games, let alone the King of Fighters, which I'm a huge fan of. And after seeing his video, it kind of sent me down this really, really deep rabbit hole. Because in his video, I think in the thumbnail, he had like a statue of one of the characters from the video game, Kyo, who's like from Team Japan. And then I remembered that I had a statue from one of the King of Fighters video games. And the statue I had was a polyresin figure of the character of Leona, which is right here on the right. So we're going to take a look at this figure. I haven't looked at it in probably over a decade. So the story behind this figure is that, so years ago, way back in 2009, prior to the release of this game here, the King of Fighters 12, SNK, Playmore, and Ignition Entertainment, they were hosting an art contest promoting, the upcoming, at least at the time, the upcoming video game King of Fighters 12. It was celebrating the 15th anniversary of the King of Fighters franchise. If you're like a die-hard fighting game fan, or if you're familiar with like SNK and Neo Geo, you'll remember that the first King of Fighters game came out way back in 1994 with the King of Fighters 94. And the King of Fighters is one of the longest standing and one of the most enduring fighting game franchises in the world of video games. It's not as popular as like Street Fighter or like Mortal Kombat, but for like many of the arcade and fighting game diehards, it's kind of like a staple, of that fighting game community. The property has seen, numerous games, lots of crossovers. There's been a couple of crossovers with Capcom. Some of the characters have popped up in like mobile games and in like other properties owned by different companies. There's been numerous manga, anime, and even some action figures. So the King of Fighters, it's one of those things that's really near and dear to my heart. I grew up playing Neo Geo, and hanging out at the arcades. I was always a big fighting game fan. So when they did this art contest years ago, I entered the contest, and I was actually a runner-up. Let me grab a shot of my artwork. All right, so this was my entry for the art contest. So before the game came out, on the SNK and I think Ignition Facebook page, they're hosting a contest, and I believe one of the prizes might have been like a Neo Geo arcade cabinet. I think that was like the first prize. Some of the other prizes were, you'd get a free copy of the game. And then I was a runner-up, and my prize was a statue. So I got this Leona statue. And my art piece was this. I kind of recreated, or at least, this was prior to the game coming out. I kind of envisioned what I thought the game would look like. So I designed like an actual like stage, and I redesigned some of the characters from the previous games. So over here I have the character Big Bear, who's also known as Raiden from the Fatal Fury franchise of fighting games. And here he is taking on Iori Yagami, and he's a staple from the King of Fighter games. So I kind of had them here duking it out, and I kind of designed this like fake screenshot of what I thought the game would look like. So I have the character portraits. I designed that, gave it the timer, the health bar, the super meters, the match counts, and then the gauges towards the bottom. So yeah, before the game came out, this is kind of like what I envisioned the game would look like. So It was kind of cool that I was a runner-up in the art contest, and I was very stoked when I won this statue. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna unbox this statue from way back from 2009. I haven't looked at it in a long time. And if you're watching this Cajun toy review, I just want to thank you for inspiring me to dig this out. You know, I was really stoked on seeing your King of Fighters 15 unboxing, and that really brought back a lot of memories. All right, so let's get started. Let's get this into focus first. Come on. Right, there we go. All right, so what we have here is the poly resin figure of Leona, manufactured for Ignition Entertainment. This box is pretty beat up. I think that's how I got it in the mail, actually. Get my light just right there. All right, so it was in this like styrofoam kind of like protective case, and we have the base, I believe, for the figure. And I'm not sure how delicate this figure is. It's more of a statue. It's not really a figure, so it doesn't really necessarily have like articulation. Making a mess of my display area. All right, so we have Leona. This looks awesome. I haven't seen this in like forever. It's weird because I swore like years ago that this little figure that I won was bigger, and for some reason I always thought it was it wasn't painted, but I guess I was wrong. It's been a long time since I've looked at this. And then here's the base. All right, so the base here, there's a little graphic. It looks like it has the character Kyo. So this is the King of Fighters 15th anniversary, copyright SNK Playmore. So this is the polystone base. I believe that's what the material is, or poly resin, right? So this is poly resin. It's kind of cool to the touch. It's really weighty. The sculpting on it, it's nice. It's not as super detailed as I'd like, but you know, for what it is, it's all right. As you can see, there's a slight wash, so they have some black ink going in all the crevices to really, you know, bring this surface detail to life. Nice and weighty, so you know, if you have this on display, I don't think you're gonna have any fears of it tipping over, just because the base is solid and it's rock heavy. And over here we have Leona. So if you've played the video games, you'll remember Leona. She's from the Akari Warriors team. And if I remember my fiction correctly, I want to say I think she's the daughter of Hydern, who's kind of like the big boss of the Akari Warriors. He's kind of like their leader. And the Akari Warriors, if you're an old school video gamer, you'll remember the arcade game. It's kind of like a top-down shooter, kind of like in the same spirit as like Capcom's old Commando game. I think it was was it Data East or Capcom? It was one of those. And on the Akari Warriors team, there was Ralph and Clark. And at some point in time, I want to say it was King of Fighters either 95 or 97 that they pushed aside Hydern. And then they introduced the character Leona. So this is a pretty cool rendition of Leona. She has her trademark blue hair. The paint application on the hair isn't the greatest. Move this aside. get this into focus. Yeah, as you can see, the paint application on the hair isn't the greatest, especially near the cheeks. But the likeness is there. I love the expression on her eyes. It looks really cool. You know, this is a very kinetic looking kind of statue. It's like capturing her in a certain frame of motion before she unleashes her attack. Yeah, nice sculpting. So keep in mind this statue, you know, this is from 2009, I believe. So yeah, it's definitely showing its age. You know, she has her canisters on her belt. I'm not sure if those are supposed to be like grenades. I like the folds on her pants. It's not overdone. The detail on her boots is really well sculpted, as you can see there. Especially the eyelets. The eyelets where the laces go. I'm kind of surprised at how nice the paint looks on that. This figure stands in at about 5 3/4. Yeah, so here's a kind of like a front view. Let's get this into focus. Yeah, her skin, for some reason, it's not agreeing with my lighting here. Let me get this on right. There we go. Yeah, it's really well done. There's a look from the back. She has a nice butt. And then let's seat her on the base. So on the base, on the bottom of her sole, there's this giant tab, and then there's a socket here, an additional peg on the other foot, another socket, and it kind of, you just line them up, and I think that it should go in easy enough. It's been a while since I've done this. Yeah, there we go. There's Leona. Let's get her face in focus. Yeah, I really wish there was something for some reason my camera, there's certain things it doesn't want to focus on, especially if the colors are super light. Yeah, there's a better shot. Yeah, that looks great. Video game collectibles, they're like one of those things that I don't have a super large collection of. I might have a couple of things, like, you know, I have that weird Halo helmet of Master Chief from like years ago. If you bought like the Legendary collection, you know, I have oddball stuff like that. But I've always kind of shied away from, like, you know, some of the more expensive collector stuff, just because I don't always know what to do with the stuff. Because I have a hard enough time just, you know, keeping a collection of action figures. But yeah, this is neat. I'd love to have more like fighting game action figures. I know that Storm Collectibles dabbles in like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, I think King of Fighters, and Fatal Fury, and some Samurai Showdown. So, but those figures are kind of pricey. You know, you're looking at $80 to $100. And for me, it's like, you know, I kind of want to keep my action figures within the range of like anywhere between like $10 to like $40 at the most. But yeah, this is cool. It was nice to actually win a contest, you know, especially for art. So yeah, this is a little piece of, like, you know, video game history for me. Big King of Fighters fan. I don't know, it's just awesome. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, and most importantly, buy lots of toys and be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.